item was Aspira, and I guess that's going to be postponed this evening. We're going to move on to our presentation of one of our department heads, and that would be Melinda Ernst-Fournier, who is our treasurer-collector. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Melinda Ernst-Fournier, and I'm the treasurer-collector for the town of Southbridge. Just a little bit about myself and my history with the town. I was an employee in the treasurer's office under John LaFleche from March of 1996 to December 2000. Left for a couple of years, came back in October of 2003, appointed as the treasurer. A few months later, July of 2004, I was appointed the town's first treasurer-collector. The first time the position was combined, I was appointed. I'm certified as a Massachusetts municipal treasurer and a Massachusetts municipal collector. The staff that I have in the treasurer's office, I have one full-time employee and a part-time employee. And the collector, we have 3 full-time. That's besides myself. One of the main functions of the treasurer is the municipal cash manager. I'm responsible for the deposit and investment of all town funds. Any funds that come in through any department have to come through the treasurer's office. They get deposited, everything gets accounted for. The first rule that we use is safety, liquidity, and yield in investing our funds. So we want to make sure it's a safe investment, we can get to our money, and we're earning something. Very little right now, but it's something. There is a legal list of investments that we can invest in, so we can't just invest in anything that we want. We have to follow this legal list. We also invest trust funds. There's some trust funds for scholarships. We have cemetery trust funds. There's a school fund, different trust funds that we have. In the treasurer's office, we also accept and deposit all departmental turnovers. We reconcile the bank accounts to the general ledger on a monthly basis, and we have an annual report that gets sent to the Department of Revenue. It's actually submitted today, due at the end of the month. We're also responsible for the disbursement of all town funds. The accountant reviews the bills, they produce a warrant, town manager signs off. In the treasurer's office, we check over all of those vouchers to make sure that it's payable to the right vendor and it's for the right amount. We also check these checks for known delinquents. So if somebody's getting a refund check on an excise tax and we know that they owe excise tax, we will divert that excise tax to something that's past due. Not a current bill, but we will do it to a past due bill. Send a letter to the taxpayer so that they're aware of it. And we mail all the checks, about 7,500 checks per year. I'm also responsible for municipal debt in conjunction with the other finance department members and the town manager. We work with a financial advisor. We do short-term borrowing for mostly small capital items, or if we need money prior to doing long-term debt. We also finance long-term debt through my office. Part of the long-term debt is getting a bond rating, which is a pretty lengthy process. We have to gather a lot of information. We have conversations and sometimes even town visits with the rating agencies, either Moody's or S&P. Our current S&P rating is an A+, which is good for a small community. I prepare the debt budgets, any debt projections, if there's any projects coming up that we want to project for. And I also have an annual report due to the DOR on our debt. We process in-house payroll. We don't use a payroll service. We use our KVS system that we have. So we do everything from having the time put in to producing checks and doing the tax returns. We see all new hires in my office. There's many towns that will gather paperwork. The paperwork comes in, the W-4 comes in from the department, but we require every new hire to come into the office to make sure it's a real person and we're seeing this person. We enter and verify all of the town payrolls. Most departments enter their own time, so the police department, they enter the regular pay and the overtime pay, and the fire department, just about every department enters their own pay. They print it, sign it, we verify all of the time and make sure it's going to the right account and the right rates of pay. Departments cannot change the rate of pay, we can only change the rate of pay. The only thing they can do is enter hours. We assist the school department in the processing of the school payroll. They enter their time, they print us reports, and that's where it ends. We print the checks, we do all of the tax returns. We print about 10,200 paychecks a year, and we also upload direct deposit. We do all of the withholding and dispersing all payroll deductions via checks and wire transfers. We pay the taxes, we pay the union dues, any other health insurance, everything else that comes out. We also process the quarterly, annual tax returns and issue all W-2s. We also handle the bulk of the benefits administration for the town and the school department. I participate in obtaining and analyzing quotes for all the benefits in conjunction with the town manager. We administer the health insurance for all employees and retirees. When you work for a municipality, the town has to contribute to health insurance. The minimum contribution for an active employee is 50%, and the town is at the 50% contribution. So for a family plan, the town pays and the employee pays $767 a month, and each employee pays, an individual would be $295 a month. We also transfer our Medicare-eligible retirees to town-sponsored senior plans at age 65. This is a little different than the private sector, because private sector, usually when you retire or you turn 65, you don't have health insurance. We're required to provide health insurance to our retirees as well. I mentioned Medicare-eligible retirees. If somebody started prior to July of 1986, they don't pay Medicare tax. So they're not eligible unless they had another job or have a spouse who had another job. They would not be eligible for Medicare Part B and would have to stay on our active plan. We administer the life insurance for all employees and retirees, dental insurance for active employees. That's a fully employee-sponsored plan. The town does not contribute to the dental plan. We have a 457 plan for our employees. It's similar to a 401k in the private sector, with the exception that there's no town contribution to the 457. We also gather paperwork and set up the deductions for the retirement. Our employees, anybody 20 hours and over, contribute to the pension system. The Southbridge Retirement System, or teachers contribute to Mass Teachers Retirement. The Southbridge Retirement System, the retirees contribute anywhere from 5% of their pay to 9%, plus 2% of anything over $30,000. So anybody starting now is paying 9% at minimum of their pay into the retirement system. We also have an OBRA plan. Because we're a municipality, we don't pay Social Security tax. So that when we retire, if you've always worked in a municipality, you can't collect a Social Security check. We also have a flexible spending account for our employees, which gives us a pre-tax deduction that can be used for health insurance or health-related glasses, dental. And through the Maya program, we have our insurance with Maya. They offer an employee assistance program, so we gather the information and we give out the information, send out periodic newsletters for the EAP. Some of the miscellaneous things we do in the treasurer's office: Southbridge Retirement System. Statutorily, as the treasurer of the town, I'm the treasurer for the retirement system, which is a separate entity. It has its own tax ID number. It's part of the town, but not really part of the town. And I also serve as the town manager's appointment on the board. We administer or keep the postage machine. We do the maintenance, buy the supplies, and fund the postage machine for all of the town departments here in the building. We do the property and liability insurance. I participate with the town manager in obtaining and analyzing quotes. And in the treasurer's office, we act as a liaison for all claims for town buildings, vehicles, any vehicle claims. Some of the professional liability claims are also done through my office. The only workman's compensation is not. This is the fun part, the tax bills, part everybody's waiting for. In the tax collector's office, we print, mail, and collect tax bills. Each year, we send out about 5,533 tax bills. Real estate and personal property tax bills are mailed twice per year in June and December, but they're due quarterly. So when you receive a bill at the beginning of July, that bill is due August 1st and November 1st. The bill that's mailed at the end of December is due February 1st and May 1st. If they're not paid by the due date on both real estate and personal property tax, demand bills and the fees are only added once per year. So when you don't pay a bill, we add a $10 demand charge, and we send you a reminder. On the real estate and personal property, that's only done once a year after the May quarter, after the last payment for the fiscal year. In fiscal 12, we mailed 668 real estate demand bills, which is 12% of the number of parcels. Personal property, there was 104 demand bills, 26%. If after demand a real estate bill is not collected, we would start the tax title process. It's not immediate, it's usually about 6 or 8 months after that. We would send a reminder letter, and then it gets advertised in the newspaper, and then it goes into tax title. We actually file an instrument of taking, and it gives the town title to that property. So we actually have title, and then I'll talk about foreclosure a little bit later on. Personal property, if that's not collected, it's sent off to the deputy collector who tries to help us collect that bill. Water and sewer bills, we mail 17,233 water and sewer bills per year. They're mailed quarterly and due quarterly. They're due at the beginning of September, December, March, and June. Those bills, the demands are usually mailed 10 to 14 days after a due date, but because of the meter program, a lot of people have been experiencing higher than normal bills. When you get that new meter, you get like an extra month's usage in there. So we've extended that demand period. We don't do the demands for 30 days. We'll probably follow through with that for this billing that was just due last week, and maybe one more, and then we'll go back to the demand bills that we mailed 4,123, which is 23% of the bills issued got a demand bill. If water and sewer remains unpaid, we add those charges to the real estate bill. So coming up in November or December, anything due prior to July 1st, anything due for the fiscal year 2012 that ended on June 30th would get added to the real estate bill. From there, we do shut-offs. This year, our shut-offs, we did send out 57 shut-off notices, which was a huge reduction from last year. Once we got last year cleaned all up, collection has been much better. The other bills that we mail are excise tax, which is for your vehicles. The excise tax file comes from the Registry of Motor Vehicles. So this is any activity that's done at the Registry of Motor Vehicles. If a plate is transferred or an address is changed, could generate an excise tax bill. But it's all based on the information from the Registry of Motor Vehicles. We mail those as commitments are received from the registry, and we mail the demand 7 to 10 days after the due date with a $10 fee added. The excise tax bills are not a bill that you want to let go. After the demand adds $10, then it goes to the deputy collector with another $10 collector fee, a $12 deputy fee. If it's still not paid, it's about 21 to 30 days after. The deputy collector will deliver a notice to the last known address, and that adds an additional $17. The next step in the process is to mark the license and registration and add another $20 RMV fee. What that does is if you don't pay that bill and your license or your registration's marked, you can't register a vehicle, you can't renew your license. Most other bills, excise tax bills, we do not accept partial payments. You have to pay that bill in full. With all of the bills that I just mentioned, we process over 50,000 transactions a year through the collector's office. Failure to receive a bill doesn't invalidate the proceedings for collection. So if you don't get a bill and you know that excise tax comes out every March or is due every March, you need to seek out that bill. Just because you did not receive the bill doesn't mean that you don't have to pay that demand fee or the interest. Almost everything that we do, especially in the collector's office, it's all governed by Mass General Law. We don't have a lot of flexibility, and I know sometimes there are frustrations when taxpayers come in, but we need to follow the law. The law is as it's written, and we also issue refunds of overpayments through the collector's office. We would generate a voucher for the accountant. Real estate and personal property, we would issue a refund after May 1st or upon request. Water and sewer is upon request because there's always going to be a new water and sewer bill for that property. And then the excise refunds, because that's a one-time bill, it's not an ongoing bill, we issue that. We look at the overpayments every month. One thing on the water and sewer bill, and I hear it a lot of people think that the water and sewer bill stays with the property owner, like your electricity bill would. That's not the case. The water and sewer stays with the property, and just because you just bought the property doesn't mean that if there was an outstanding water and sewer bill from the prior owner that didn't get paid off in a sale, that doesn't mean that that water and sewer bill gets mailed to the other person. It's the responsibility of the property owner, and it will get added to the tax bill for that property. We also have people who would request that a water bill get mailed to a tenant or a tax bill get sent to a tax service or the mortgage company, and I always try to push people away from that because it's your responsibility as a property owner. If your tenant runs up a $10,000 bill, which we have seen, it's going to end up on your tax bill. We also had somebody who didn't know that her mortgage company didn't pay her taxes. So I advertised her in the paper, and that's how she knew that a whole year's worth of taxes hadn't been paid. So I would always say, get your own bill, forward it to yourself, to whoever needs to get that bill. The tax title process, that protects the town's interest in the property. There's only a certain period of time that we have to put the lien on the property before we can't put a lien on the property. We do it every year. The unpaid real estate taxes are advertised in the news. An instrument of taking is filed, which gives us title to the property. We do offer payment agreements, and that's required by law. We have a certain, depending on the balance of the tax title, we have a certain length of time that we would allow a payment agreement. The next step would be a foreclosure. A foreclosure can take 6 months to several years. I've yet to see any foreclosure take 6 months. All parties of interest have to be served notice. Right now, we have one that was filed in 1994 and 1995, and they're still trying to find the parties of interest. The owner of the property died in 1927, and now they're trying. Tax title has priority over most other liens, such as a mortgage. Anytime we put a property in tax title, we send notice to mortgage companies because more than likely they will pay it because they know that our lien is a higher priority than theirs. Other things that we do in the collector's office, we bill and collect the cell tower and property leases on a monthly basis. I think we collect 6 different lease payments on that cell tower behind the fire department. It's all subleases through Crown Atlantic. So we bill and collect those. We collect cemetery fees, sewer and water connection fees, septage hauler fees, which is some of the sewer services in the area pay to use our sewer department to dump their trucks. We collect betterments, parking tickets, parking permits for a couple of the municipal lots in town, driveway permits. We also issue municipal lien certificates, which shows a snapshot of what's due on a property at a certain period of time. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a lien on the property. What this does is it protects either the borrower or the homeowner. If you're buying a property, you want to see what's owed on that property. And they'll file that at the Registry of Deeds to show that it was clean or that they paid what they needed to pay before a sale went through. We also sign off on permits. So mostly the inspections department will have anybody applying for a permit bring the permit to the collector's office to sign off on it, to show that the property and the property owner and also the contractor is in good standing with the town. We produce a list every November that we give to the department showing anything outstanding over 1 year old. So they have that list, but it changes every day, so it's tough to keep up with. That's why Nick has them come in to sign off on the permit. I think that's it.
Thank you very much.
You're
Does anybody
welcome.
have any questions? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.